coming today. Sorry that we're a little bit tardy. May the universal presence enter your soul and bring you peace. Today, we're learning about how life is an illusion. An illusion that most people are trapped in, and by choosing to live in this illusion. Also, if we could just stop the super bright lights in my eyeballs in the bag. Sorry to bring with it. But if there's any way not to have two giant lights in my eyeballs, that would be great. The universe, I'm channeling it, and it wants me to not be blind today. But, so, long story short, let's talk about that a little bit, like sight. Most people think that what you see is the truth, but as you know, like what you see, electromagnetic light, is just a small little thing on the spectrum. There's red light that we don't see, infrared light where you can get the goggles. There's all kinds of other spectrums of light that your eyes don't detect. So what you perceive as reality is just a small segment of reality. In fact, our eyes, they attach to a retina. And so everybody here has a blind spot in their eye. And we can do an experiment later if you guys get bored to prove that. But you can actually put a dot on a piece of paper. And if you move it around in the right spot, you won't see that dot anymore. When it hits the spot where your retina is connected, you're blind in that spot. And your mind fills in that blank spot with the rest of reality, with what's around it. So when you're looking at that little dot, and it's not there anymore, it's because your mind is seeing all this white around it, and it just says, oh, everything's white. So you're actually just like physically creating your reality in your mind. And so, how do you interact with reality? Let's say 5 senses is what you're told, and like let's do it a little bit together. So, here's a candle. If you guys could look at it, and see if you can see the candlelight. And I presume you can. We're also going to light this candle, just because I'm a big fan of vanilla. And I want you guys to tell me in a little bit if you can smell it. And while we're doing that, just to hit every sense, listen to this sound. And I presume you can hear it. But also, just because we do this every time and I like it, also just like your thoughts cross your mind, and then they die and end, they have a start and an end point. When you listen to the bell the next time, listen for the start, listen throughout, and then listen to where it ends. And then if you can, eat these grapes one at a time as you pass them around. And actually taste them as you eat them. And while you're going through that, I want to explain a few things. So everybody was able to see the candle, and you think that that's the sense of sight. Because you've been told your whole life that you have 5 senses, and they're sight, smell, touch, taste, hearing. And you think you know what you're talking about when you say those things. But the truth is, that's an illusion too. What is the one sense that we didn't cover is a feeling, it's touch. And as you'll see, like, every one of the other things, like, when you seen the candle, you actually touched the candle. You just didn't realize it because it was under your conscious mind. The only way your mind sees is when that candle, protons are popped off that candle into your eyeballs. So you actually physically interact with everything you see in the world. You're touching everything you see. And it's becoming a part of you. And so you think you're only using one sense, that's sight, but you're actually seeing it. The same thing is when you smell a smell, it just doesn't magically come to your nose. It travels across the air. Molecules from this inside you. It becomes part of you. So even though you're not sensing touch, you're not realizing that it's becoming a part of you, this thing that you think is external to you. It is. There's things that you go throughout the whole entire day without even noticing that are becoming a part of you. The same thing with sound. The sound waves that are going through, they're physically touching your ear, you're just not feeling it. And then it's transmitting to your brain. And now food, that's the oddest thing ever if you really think about it. We think we're so superior to animals, or a lot of people do. But even a simple plant, like when you ate this, it went inside your stomach, and then you're going to break it apart, and it's going to become part of your body. I mean, really think about how crazy that is. The molecules from this grape are going to be transmuted and transformed into your human flesh. And everything you eat is, every part of living life, all living matter, you're in a cycle. And you're constantly transforming and getting energy from these other things that you feel separate from. And so, my question to you is, what is reality? You know, there's a transcendent reality above the five senses. People call it sixth sense. And there's something beyond words. For example, you're all in massage chairs, or you're in like a beanbag chair, or you're in like an office chair ready to do some office work. But we all have this word chair. So like when you're talking to somebody on the phone, like, yeah, I'm sitting in a chair, you know, doing my work. Everybody thinks they know what you're talking about, but it's not even real. It's just a mental construct because it doesn't even touch the reality of what your experience is. Each of these chairs feel different, and so we have that with every single word. Every single word, even on a deeper level. When you say friend, you are trying to put all of these things onto somebody. This is what a friend's like. This is what a boyfriend's like. This is what a husband's like. And, you know, John Paul Sartre said that the moment you look at somebody, you instantly transform them into an object. You objectify them. Because even not in a sexual manner, which is how we talk about it in the West nowadays, if you look at somebody, you look at them from your perspective. If I was to say, like, if somebody was like, where's that gentleman, I'd say he's to my right. But, like, why am I not to his left? You're the center of your reality, and you're always looking at everybody and how they fit into your world. And these are the expectations that you're placing on them. With language barriers that are losing a lot of what a relationship is. Two friendships are never the same. Even though when we talk about friendships, we think this and that. Two loves are never the same. Though this is how a husband should act, or this is how a wife should act, or this is how a man or a woman should act. And we're becoming better in the West at looking at those gender concepts, but every verbal concept is a prison in itself. And there's knowledge to be gained well beyond words. And so the difficulty about having these New Age meetings is I'm trying to express the universal truth and reality of what is a transcendent reality that lives beyond words. So, as you can tell, I'll stumble over my words. I'll try to show you post signs, as Eckhart Tolle says, to lead you in the way of reality. But the ultimate reality, that which lives in the sixth sense, can only be experienced. It can never be transmitted verbally. That's because it's beyond words, it's beyond structure. And so normally I'll guide you through a meditation. Today I'm going to let you try to do one on your own. So you can really try to touch the sixth sense because we went over the other five. But it's very hard to do. So I'm going to give you guys some guideposts. One is, listen, in the next 4 or 5 minutes we do this, I'm going to time it for you. So don't stress out about how long it's going to take. I'm going to tell you when to start and stop. I know we all have responsibilities and Monday's bearing down on us. Nobody hates Monday worse than me. But nothing you're going to do, you're trapped here with me for the next 5 minutes, is going to matter. So give your permission, like your stresses and your thoughts, permission to just leave you. And let your only focus be on being present and being here during this meditation. And thoughts are going to enter your brain. And then they're going to cross just like clouds against the sky. And that's natural to happen because even though you think your thoughts are yours, humans have thoughts. Thinking is a human behavior. It's a human trait to cognate. It's not who you are. Most people are caught in this thought stream and they believe this is who I am. Whatever thoughts pop into your brain, this is who I am. And unfortunately, because we evolved in this structure of the human body, in very hostile environments 10,000 years ago, it takes genes a long time to keep up. Just imagine being eaten before we were apex predators. all these worries and concerns where famine was a concern. And we've discussed this, but famine used to be the main concern of humanity. We didn't have enough food. And that's why we store fatty foods in our body at a high rate, which leads to obesity now. It's not people's fault. That's what our body was supposed to do when we didn't have enough food. And so that's why we're attracted to sugary and fatty foods, because they're high energy. And back then, our concern wasn't, oh, you're going to live to be 70 and you shouldn't be overweight and have a heart problem. It was, oh my God, eat enough calories or you're going to starve to death. And so sometimes we outgrow our evolution. Our genes in our body aren't built to live our modern life anymore. And that's true about thoughts. The concerns, the fears, and the anxieties that we've carried over from these pre-times when we were living in jungles, we had the need. It was beneficial to be nervous, to be anxious, to worry about what's happening next there. Now we live in societies, at least in the West, where most of our fundamental needs are taken care of. We're not worried about starving to death, but we're still worried about it, but we shouldn't be. And the thing is, studies have shown that 80% of thoughts are negative. So the problem is, if you are totally self-identified with your ego and your thought structure and whatever pops into your head, which you don't have control over, that'd be like if I said purple elephant and you somehow didn't think of purple elephant. When things pop in around you, they're going to make thoughts pop up in your head. And you're genetically predisposed to have negative thoughts. So what I'm trying to teach you here is that you live beneath your thoughts and above your thoughts. You are the observing presence that can actually watch your thoughts go across your mind. And once you realize that thoughts are just a human thing, they're cognition. Depression is just a human thing. All humans have experienced sadness. You're not sad. You're not depressed. You know, these thoughts that pop across your mind, when you believe them, you're in prison. They attach to your ego. And once you're attached into an ego, that's your prison. You think that you're this thing. But even that construct of yourself is completely inappropriate. If you think about it, when you were 3 years old, you still feel like you were yourself, but you didn't have your thoughts. The same thing when you were 12, when you're going to be 22, when you're 32, when you're 52. Some people will have different lovers. Some people will have different friends. Some people will have different interests. Does that make you less of who you are? You are the actual fundamental observer. And that's what stays constant the whole entire time. Even your physical body, as we showed with the grapes, every 7 to 10 years, it's going to dissipate. All that makes you right now, all the cells will be gone. There's a little bit of hard bone here or there that hang around. But for the vast part, most of your entire body disappears every 7 to 10 years and is replaced by a bunch of random things you ate, like grapes that some weird guy just handed you in a bag. And we're so attached to our body. How pretty are we? You know, this is messed up, but it's true. In the Holocaust, when they were literally starving to death, you know, some women traded the little bit of money they had to have their dresses hemmed. Because as humans, that's how caught up we are in looking good. And we've addressed some of these things before, but it's because we used to live in small tribal societies where everybody's life was similar. And so if you were different, if you weren't meeting the standard of everybody else, it did indicate that something was wrong. You know, something should be changed so you can be like everybody else because you're all in the same environment. The problem is, as mass society happened, and we're now living in the jungle with 100 people that are all similar to us, not only genetically, but environmentally. The thing is, it's like, now you can put on Instagram and there's a billionaire. You'll never have that money. You can go on Instagram and see a model. You'll never be that pretty. It doesn't matter. All those things fade. All we're doing here is we're here to enjoy the form of our body. And for anybody who's missed some of the churches before, I'm speeding through a lot of this. But I'll let you know, we all came from a big bang. There was one singularity point in the whole entire universe, and it exploded. And it created everything that we see. So it exploded so it could separate itself and distinguish itself into form so it could enjoy this dance. So it's talking to itself through me. I'm speaking, but I'm it. And you're hearing, and you're it. And we're all the form. And so when I score a victory over you and you have despair and you feel bad about it, really you're still winning because we're the same singularity point. And sometimes the singularity point wanted to know what it was like to win and what it was like to lose. And so this is just a dance. All of these forms that we take, either the grape or another person, behind those thoughts of depression and cognition and randomly if this person's your friend or that person, or if you want a gold ribbon or a silver, bronze star, the thing is, you're an observer and I'm an observer. And we can experience this form and observe it. That's our higher, more divine self that lives on past all the form. And when we're destroyed, the second law of thermodynamics says that nothing can ever be created or destroyed. It's just rearranged. And so that observing nature, that divine spark in all of us, will be rearranged. When you die and the tree that made these grapes uses your body for substance, that will go into another observer over time because time is infinite. Our forms will decompose, recompose, decompose, recompose. You'll have so many infinite forms throughout your existence because it's infinite. Sometimes you'll lose, sometimes you'll win. And then why would we ever do this to ourselves? Why wouldn't we be an unfeeling singularity point? And the point is, we did this so we could experience this joy. It's just like nobody plays a game where you always win. So we've hidden our divine aspect of ourselves so we can lose. So it's exciting. So we can experience the form. However, forms are imperfect, unlike our divine nature. So, also in the substruct of life, the yin and yang, there's victory, there's loss, there's happiness, and there's sadness. And sometimes we want to win, but we are just a little tiny speck. And you have to understand, on the whole entire cosmic plan, certain parts of the equation have to be a certain way for it all to fit together. So, if you, during this little spark, you're inevitably going to go through darkness, because that's the yin and yang that is the substructure of the universe. And if you, trapped in this identity, don't want to do that, your divine nature can allow you to escape. Once you stop identifying with the thoughts, which are just a form, once you stop identifying with your body, which is just a form, and you learn to experience yourself as your divine observing nature, when life is too tough, when you don't want to play the game, you can step into your divine observing self and you can channel the beauty that really is the divine spark. You'll feel such a peace and a relaxation once you become the observer and you watch your thoughts and you realize that it's a game. And sometimes you'll go back into the form and you'll be totally stuck in your thoughts. And you'll live your life. And that's what you should do. You should be in this form. And you should enjoy it. And that's the point. You have a choice. You can set your intention to enjoy reality. It doesn't matter what's going on externally once you learn to accept your external circumstances, because that's the only way everything can be based on the divine equation at this moment. That doesn't mean not working to change it and better it, but at this moment, in the present moment, if you are here and now and accept everything around you as the divine plan, you'll be filled with peace. And if you are in your observing divine aspect of yourself instead of stuck in the ego and the thought stream, you will have peace even amongst the storm. It will give you calm. And I'll say one last thing. Eckhart Tolle said, our mind, you think it's your mind, but it's not. Random things pop up in it all the time. All the hurt and pain you've ever experienced in your life hangs around in there, just like physical scars. And it creates a thing that Eckhart Tolle calls the pain body. So that's why you have overblown reactions, right? Somebody might be, oh, well, that's a bad shirt. That shirt doesn't look good on you. And you're just like, it's ruining your day. It's because this pain body of every time anybody's ever said something negative to you, maybe you were picked on, maybe this, all of those negative emotions, they've created another being inside your body, an energetic force that lives in your mind, and it wants to live just like anything. Everything that's alive wants to continue living. That's why if you stub your toe, and then your husband's like, hey honey, are you okay? And you're like, fuck you, dude. It's because you're in that pain body. It's taken over your body. You're now a host. And it just wants to keep being the victim. It wants to keep eating negativity. And so what do? you step out of it and you observe it and say, oh, that's my pain body. That's not really me. I'm going to choose to set my intention to be positive, because the external circumstances aren't always true. They're not real. Your mind can create the reality of happiness or sadness. So if it's raining outside, you could sit there and be miserable all day. Oh, I wanted it to be sunny out. Or you could say, wow, look how beautiful the rain is. Let me observe that. You know, let me feel the rain on my skin. I'm here, I'm observing. Let me feel the storm come through my window. But you can do that about anything in life, even negative experiences. You can use it as an excuse to start expanding your divine nature. So, I'll give you guys like 3 minutes. I'll stop recording, so those at home, I appreciate you stopping in, can do it on your own. But, you know, I'll give you 3 minutes to just breathe in all the way to the bottom of your stomach, breathe out slowly through your nose. Do that about 5 times. Close your eyes. We're only going to do it for about 3 minutes. And watch the thoughts float across your mind and let them go. Don't become attached to them, and just realize where the thought starts and where it ends. Don't get stuck in what the thought is as if it's reality. And you'll realize while you're observing, you're a divine aspect of nature. You become the observer. Thanks, guys.